multiple other investors specialize in is the umbrella of temporary housing. Just because you don't want to do Airbnb doesn't mean you should not live on Airbnb, because they live there too. There are three things you are not doing to land contracts from relocation companies. Now, which relocation companies am I speaking of? I will disclose that shortly. But before, my name is Ruben Kanya. I'm a temporary housing specialist where I've helped hundreds of homeowners nationwide land the most lucrative deals by working with insurance companies and or other B2B companies by doing it in a very specific way. It's not a crazy amount of effort, but it needs to be done in this sequence, and I will let you know shortly. Now, without further ado, I need to make sure you understand what we are talking about. And one thing that I specialize in and that multiple other investors specialize in is the umbrella of temporary housing. If you've been watching my videos long enough, or this channel, or if this is your first time, one thing that I like to preface by saying is that I like working with corporations. Why? Because there is this one-to-many effect that you don't get by working with one-time consumers. One-time consumers are folks that are traveling for leisure, folks that are just traveling, maybe even traveling nurses. If they're consumers and they're coming in just for an assignment, that to me is still B2C. That's business to consume. If you're coming in for a vacation, that's business to consumer. If you're coming in for entertainment, that's business to consumer. Even if you're coming in for business, it's still business to consumer, because I, the business, as soon as you're in the hospitality and someone lays their head on your pillow, whether you own the property, manage the property, you're now in the hospitality business. They're doing business with me, and I am doing business with them as a consumer. Now, on the other hand, there's business to business, where you're the business owner, whether you have one property again, or a dozen, or 100, whether you're a co-host, short-term rental operator, or mid-term rental operator, whatever you want to call yourself. If you have someone that's staying in your home and that someone booked on behalf of a company paying for them, or it's a representative from a company. As I'm recording this, I just had a construction group check in, and they are not the ones to book. There was a representative that was booking. I like that. And that is important to do, because guess what? There's a good chance that whoever booked, she may book another group. And there's a good chance that even if I'm very savvy, that I might just work with a business and or a corporation that does what for a living? Relocate families. And that is why we love the niche of working with relocation agencies, relocation specialists, relocation temporary housing companies that are doing just that for a living, relocating families in need of temporary housing. Because once I have the relationship with them, it's a one-to-many relationship. It's a one-to-one relationship that I have with them that can lead to many bookings. And while it's also a one-to-one relationship with them, it's a one-to-many relationship with their colleagues and partners within the firm. And that is very powerful and changes the game completely. Now, with that context given, these relocation companies are typically relocating families that are displaced, and their insurance company is the ones that are paying. Now, what happens is relocation companies will actually pay on their behalf and then issue the insurance company an invoice to be paid in full. So if they're relocating families for 3 months, guess what? They're footing that up front and then sending the insurance company an invoice. Everybody wins. Now, that's business to business with you. Those are the 3 steps. Now, one thing that we often hear in the space is I haven't heard from anyone. I submitted my property in their database. I haven't heard anything, and therefore I'm just going to stop, right? And that is the biggest mistake that you can do, right? Now, I want to preface by saying that I'm not recording this to let you know that you should start bombarding people without receiving an answer. But once you've actually established a touch point and a connection, just because there might be a family or a relocation specialist that sends you a specific family to relocate, and you follow up and you give them a proposal, and then you don't hear back from them, there's 3 things you're not doing to land contracts with these relocation specialists, and here are they. Ready? If you're currently getting value from watching this video, you'll want to make sure you take a second and click below to grab the midterm rental insurance blueprint to help accelerate your process in being able to land these midterm rental insurance contracts with respect to your marketplace. Make sure you click the button below and grab it and continue on with the gems in this video. Step number 1, create a connection. Step number 2, follow up. Step number 3, follow up. Okay. So create a connection. Ruben, what does that mean? The initial connection that you can do with these companies is they're looking for inventories to get your inventory out there, right? Into their databases and into the areas where they might be looking. You know that they're looking on OTAs, right? OTAs being Airbnb. You know that they're looking on Zillow. And if you don't now, you know that they're looking on Furnish Finder. And if you don't now, you know. And if that's where they're looking, you want to exist there. Just because you don't want to do Airbnb doesn't mean you should not live on Airbnb, because they live there too. So you want to always position yourself in front of the traffic, right? That's the connection point. You know that you can look up the fact that there's multiple local temporary relocation agencies in your market that I have never even heard of myself, but you can look there and enter your property into their database or ask them exactly what you should do. That's what you know. And if you don't know now, you know. That's establishing a connection point, right? That's phase 1. Phase 2 of establishing a connection point. I'm still on step 1 now. It's the connection point, but there's 2 phases. There's the initial, your outreach, and then there's the actual when you actually hit contact. When you hit contact, it means that they're sending you, hey, you have something in this area, and then you send it to them, and then you don't hear back. Here's where the rest of the recipe is. That's where the follow-up comes in, and you can ask for permission to follow up. But like, hey, is it okay for me to follow up? But it's really important that you strategically ask how you should follow up. It's really important that you say, hey, what's the best way? Because you might be calling them when really email is the best way, or you might be emailing when really calling is the best way, right? So it's important that you establish a touch point. And let's not be confused. Let's not be afraid to go the old school way of also pulling up in person. There's something that goes a long way about having this face to face, right? That's why I love doing as much as I love doing virtual events, I like doing in-person events even more, because there's this effect that happens where I'm going to remember you, because people will always remember how you make them feel. You're going to have more of an impact on how to make somebody feel by being in person. There's just more dynamics there, right? And because that's so critically important, don't just sit back, right, and just limit yourself. If you have the ability to go down in person, go down in person. Have an impact, right? Those are some of the things we're even starting to do, right? Having these in-person touch points, reference points, meetings with people, etc., right? That's important, and it goes a long way. Now, that's establishing the connection. Number 2 is actually following up. Following up means understanding that these individuals are busy, and just because they don't respond doesn't mean they didn't see it. Key number 1, right? So when you're doing your marketing, just because they don't respond, it doesn't mean that they don't see it, and that's good. So you want to continue to plant some seeds so that you're leaving digital footprints either in their inboxes, which is the best, by the way, versus in their voicemails, because that's just becomes a nuisance. However, if they're telling you, hey, I'm best to be reached by text, phone, etc., do that. But I find too often that I tried to reach, no one got back to me, and therefore you probably end up doing what? Stop following up. But the reason important following up matters is there's so many stakeholders in between. Yes, these relocation specialists have a relationship with the insurance company, but there's an adjuster on the other side getting an approval, and then there's a family on the other side that actually needs to walk the property. As a matter of fact, to give you an example, I was just emailing a relocation specialist where I had submitted property that they had asked. I'd given the proposal. She told me it was a good fit, but then she told me that the family who was actually in a wheelchair, the individuals in a wheelchair, was dependent on their brother to actually show a home for her. And during the week, the brother got super busy, so then I would have to push out next week. And this is after I had followed up after not hearing from her for 3 weeks to say, hey, do we need to close this out? Now, there's a lot of good sales tactics you can use in this industry because it is sales and an education. I believe that we are in the business of educating education and sales. That's the education. You'll do that with the policy holder when needed at times, educate them on how the process works, educate them on the time, but at the same time you're in sales. So in sales is, hey, should I close this out? Hey, are we done? Hey, are you no longer interested? That's a strong follow-up. Hey, by the way, was this no longer a good fit? People are more inclined to respond to that than, hey, just following up. Don't do that. Don't following up by letting them know you're following up. Following up in a lot of different ways. And if you're interested in that, I do a bunch of different challenges that can help you how to do that. Just go to experimentrealestate.com/challenge, right? But that's not the point. The point is, I'm sure if you're watching this, you have some ingenuity, you have some pizzazz about yourself that's different than other folks. Just be genuine, just be yourself, and follow up in a lot of different ways. Now, what you can do after you follow up is you really want to make sure you're strategically following up by having the city in your subject line, your amount of bedrooms, amount of properties, some kind of reference that's going to make those digital footprints very valuable when they're looking to actually place someone, whether it's not for this claim but for future claims. They look a lot of their inboxes and who was emailing them before they reach out. Or if you're staying top of mind, it's like, what's the name of this person again? And if they have an idea where you are located, they might even look you up by, again, a city or by name. Brand name is important. Location is even more important in the subject line. It gives them footprints. Control find is a thing that they use. So you're going to want to make it easy for people to do business for you. I can't stress that enough. Make it easy for people to do business with you. Be searchable, be findable, create digital footprints, and most importantly, last step, the most important one, follow up again, right? Consistency is key. Staying top of mind is key in sales. Following up is going to be where the fortune is made, right? Fortune favors the bold, and fortune's in the follow up. And it's also in the not hello, but in the hello again, where the gains are made. If you get value from this video, make sure you check out The Power of Building a Brand and Digital Footprints, episode 251.